This video is about the Rotting Corpse Meditation by Eckhart Tolle. I have this book right here. It's a thin book. I really like it a lot. It's kind of my spiritual Bible. It's really information dense. It's Practicing the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's what I always come back to. I listen to other people as well, but Eckhart Tolle seems to make the most sense to me because I've listened to other things, and his seems the one where if you imagine a future where it would be the most functional, it would be the most functional with this kind of stuff. It's not, you know, incorporating your shadow side on the unwilling, because to do that would only be to hurt yourself. So you imagine the next dimension beyond this one would have to function better. So there would just be a lot more understanding. There would be a lot less judgment. And Eckhart talks about all that stuff. So that is why I pay attention to him as kind of a backbone to what seems to have worked and what seems to really take me to another state of being. But this is about one thing that he talks about in this book, which is the Rotting Corpse meditation. And I don't do a whole meditation on it, but what I do is when I am meditating, I imagine myself as a rotting corpse, whatever it be, 70 years from now, 50 years from now, whenever. I imagine myself as a rotting corpse because that is what is going to happen. And once I do that, it allows me to let go of the permanence of life, where a lot of your life, especially your younger life, you spend it, in the permanence. Well, this is kind of permanent, but it really isn't, and your subconscious mind knows it's not permanent. And once you do the Rotting Corpse meditation and you truly have it ingrained in your mind that life is just a fleeting thing, and that there is something bigger, then it allows you to live your life a lot more free. It allows you to not worry about how people perceive you if you say something stupid, any of that kind of stuff, because it doesn't matter. I've said things very, very stupid many times in my life, and I've always got over it. And just through awareness, the only reason why I try to be aware of the stupid things I say is just so that I don't hurt anybody else's feelings, because to do that is really hurting myself. Now, I'm not going to change myself because somebody doesn't like the way I am. If I'm not hurting them in any way, then that's on them. They have to, they can look away. They go, oh, what a train wreck. I don't care. But I always try to emanate joy from within, from without, no matter who it is. It's always unconditional, because it's just a more better way of being. And the Rotting Corpse really helps me in a lot of ways to get to this place of unconditionalness, of presence, because it's through presence that everything happens. Nothing happens in the past and nothing happens in the future. So it always happens in the now. And the Rotting Corpse meditation helps me I incorporate that into my meditation. Whenever my ego gets a little bit higher, or wherever I imagine my thoughts going somewhere that's more life-centered, then I pull myself out with the Rotting Corpse meditation, and I imagine myself 70, 100, whatever the case may be, in the ground, rotting, dead, gone. And then when I do that, I know that life is impermanent. I can see it. I just, so when I get to that place, it allows me to be more creative with presence, with stopping my thoughts, and it's just really is a good foundation. I don't do a whole entire meditation on it by myself, but just doing that one thing, I kind of go through a round robin of things. And the Rotting Corpse meditation, it's really, really helpful. Some people might find it depressing, saying, "Oh, I'm going to die," and that's me. Well, that is going to be you. So the better thing to do is just to laugh about it, because it's uh, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's, you're gonna know for sure whether you're evil or divine. And I stole that from a song, but you will find out. Um, and I just look at the world the way it is. The universe. We've been around for the solar system has been around for 4.3 billion years. Human beings have been around for 250 million years, and still there hasn't been no calamity to stop human beings in that 250 million period. And in the period of which the solar system, um, in which the solar system has been around for 4.3 billion years, that's 100 million times 43, just to put that number in perspective. That is a very large number. And the sun hasn't skipped a beat. The earth has been interacting with the sun for this whole entire time to allow life. Without the sun, we would just be frozen tundra. So if somebody doesn't see that there's a creator behind all this, then they are not seeing through the same eyes as me, because there's just the magnitude of the solar system. There's how much stuff has happened in the last 200 years. In the last 200 years, there has been, there was no electricity. There's only a few paved roads, a few sparse buildings. Things were lit with lanterns and candles. I don't know, I wasn't around for that. But I know there was no electricity, so how could you do all the things that you need to do? So in the last 200, so 200 years ago would have been 1919. And just think how far we've come in that 200-year period. There's been the invention of electricity. There's been the photograph. There's been Abraham Lincoln. There has been the Industrial Revolution. Morphine and heroin used to be legal, or sold over the counter, and doctors prescribed them. Didn't prescribe them; it was over the counter. They highly suggested them. There was morphine dens all over the United States. Let's see. There was the World War One, the Great Depression, World War Two. The first computer I think it was the Enigma in World War II, that big huge mainframe that you could do in a pocket phone that you had 20 years ago. That's how far technology's come. There's wireless data going all through the airwaves. It's just so much stuff has happened in 200 years, and 200 years is not a long time. If you put my lifespan together, my parents and their grandparents, you're going to come to about 200 years, and even humans can conceivably live to be 200 years. So it's just impossible for all this stuff to have happened in 200 years. It's just ridiculous, and nobody can ever tell how the world started. The Big Bang. Well, what started the Big Bang? Well, everything got so small and then it just exploded. Okay, well, why did things get smaller? Well, we don't know that. You can never ever get to a beginning, no matter what kind of logic you use. So the universe has, in some form, has always been in existence. It has been infinite. And you can get that just from an accounting ledger. You can get an account where 0 equals 0, and 0 on the right-hand side is where the beginning of time, right? Time 0. But you can't get 0 from 0, because it's always going to be nothing. So 0 equals 0 on both sides of the ledger isn't going to work. The only way it works is if on the left-hand side of the ledger, before time began, before time 0, you had infinite possibilities minus infinite possibilities. You could even say 1 minus 1. But that will equal 0. So on the left-hand side of the ledger, something has always been going on. And on the right side of the ledger is when time began. So you can never get 0 equals 0 and ever get anything, because that's just null. That's nothing. but there was always something happening on the left hand side of the ledger before time began. So those are the pretty much the three arguments that I use in my mind where I know there has to be a creator, and I just look at the earth and it's on a axis. It lets in the sun 12 hours out of the day. I mean, there's just so many things you can point to that there's no way in my mind. So there's not even a single shred of doubt. So that's why I like the uh, the rotting corpse meditation, is because it really has me not hang my star on this thing called life. I mean, it's great and it's meant to be joyful and it's always meant to be present and everything like that, because it really doesn't matter. But um, I really enjoy adding the rotten corpse meditation, because back, I would say, even like 5 years ago, life meant so much more to me than was healthy. You know, I hung my eggs, and I put my eggs in all that basket. And then, then you realize, why is something like this getting me down at all? Because after you start being aware of your emotions and stuff like that, then you start being aware of what thoughts trigger the bad feelings and stuff like that. And one of those bad feelings was thinking that life was a lot better than it is. So I do that, and it helps me out a lot, because I used to be a real life-centered person, and now um, I'm not. I try to always be present. I don't live in my thoughts at all. I really imagine having no strings at all, no, nothing, no baggage at all, and I'm always present. I always try to stop my thoughts. Sometimes I say, I'm what occurs before thought, um, and that is nothing. It's void. It's void without giving it the label of void. That's another technique I use to just always halt my thoughts and not live in my thoughts, because living in your thoughts is really a terrible way to be. Just terrible. I mean, you have no free will, because how can you have free will if you're living in your thoughts? It's always the past or the future. So that's what's dictating what you're going to do. So, um, yes, the rotting corpse meditation helps me to really put things in perspective, and to really not take life seriously at all, because I will be dead, and that's a fun thing. It's fun because it helps me to look forward to it, and it also helps me to always be present, because without presence, then there's no free will. You're always going to be subject to your thoughts, and your thoughts are going to me, they were like a possession, where I was possessed by something other than myself. And I've really been doing a good job of living in my awareness. Um, and the rotting corpse meditation has been a big part of that. Again, that's from Practice in the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Something I really enjoy. I really like the fact that it's so information dense, and it's really thorough. And yeah, I will be covering some more of the chapters in this book and of things like that. But thank you, and you have a great day. Bye.